So everybody's talking about how they're afraid of Donald Trump because he might try. He's crazy. You don't know what he might do. He might start a war.
Right.
And they go, you know what? Remember Ralph Nader? We're still paying for George Bush's mistakes. First of all, they weren't mistakes. They went into Iraq on purpose, and they made up a reason. And guess who went along with them? They couldn't have done it without the full-throated support of the former First Lady and Senator from New York, where 9/11 happened. So we're still paying for 9/11. We're still paying for Hillary Clinton's mistakes. So remember that when someone says that we're still paying for Bush, we're still paying for Hillary Clinton. I remember when being pro-Iraq war was a disqualifier. Now ignoring it is the progressive thing to do. It's not. It's horrible that she was for the Iraq war. I was alive then, and we all knew it was BS. So people are always, Trump. I always point to that. And then I point to Libya, and then I point for Syria. She calls for a no-fly zone, which means if Russia flies a jet over there, we're supposed to shoot them down and start World War III. But the people are still worried about Trump. That's the weird thing. It's like, well, we don't know what Trump's going to do. I know what Hillary's going to do. She's going to start another war.
By the way, that's not true.
What's not true?
This week, Russians bombed a UN convoy because there wasn't an agreement with the Russians to not fly during the ceasefire. So your assessment of that is inaccurate. There should have been an agreement with the Russians that we're not going to fly during the ceasefire.
You mean an agreement with the Russians for a no-fly zone?
Right.
That's different.
That's different. It's different than what she originally proposed. But right now, there need to not be jets with bombs in the air.
We need to stop thinking we can fix anything in Syria with bombs. That's what we need. We need to stop thinking we can fix Iraq with a bomb or Mosul with a bomb or Afghanistan with a bomb or Syria with a bomb, because every time we drop bombs, it gets a little worse.
I don't know, Jimmy. I think isn't our goal as the United States to spread democracy through the world?
And when those bombs explode, democracy flies right out of them. So I hear what you're saying, Robert. I also disagree. In a sense, yes, it would. In a perfect world, we would have a no-fly zone in the whole world, and so nobody would be dropping bombs on anyone. But here's why I bring this up: because Hillary Clinton, according to the International Business Times, she said that U.S. should use a military response to fight cyber attacks. That's pretty muscular. She says, here's what she said. We need to respond to evolving threats from states like Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, Clinton said in the speech. We need a military that is ready and agile so it can meet the full range of threats and operate on short notice across every domain. Not just land, not just sea, air, and space, but also cyberspace. Yeah, we need to spend more money on the military.
That's not what she's talking about, though. She's talking about cyber defense. She's talking about something that the Pentagon has been begging for, more money for cyber defense. We have incredibly soft targets in terms of cyberspace, in terms of our energy grid, our communications grid, tons and tons of records and pieces of information. We have very, very weak cyber defense, and Russia and North Korea have very, very robust cyber attack capabilities. What she's talking about is something that very reasonable people inside not only the Pentagon, but throughout the executive branch have been begging for. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with what she's saying. It's completely accurate.
Well, the point I'm making, not that she's wrong to advocate for cyber defense. Certainly, we need cyber defense, and you're right. My point is that she's got a muscular military response to everything, and she's not afraid to say it or do it. And people keep pointing to Trump like he's reckless. And here's another quote from her, Robert. As president, I will make it clear that the United States will treat cyber attacks just like any other attack. We will be ready with serious political, economic, and a military response. So it was enough for the International Business Times to point this out. I'm also recognizing it, and I'm also saying that she has got a military response for any problem.
You do understand that Trump's response would be bomb the shit out of them. What she's talking about is the three prongs that you use in international affairs, which are political, economic, and military. Those are the same things that go into even talking with the Dutch, for God's sakes. He would say, we're going to bomb the shit out of them. So I don't know that what you're saying is valid in terms of attacking Hillary Clinton.
What I'm saying, I guess you were, again, everything you're saying is correct. What I'm saying is that people who are, when Trump says we should bomb the shit out of them, she already has bombed the shit out of them. So that's the problem, right? She's already bombed the shit out of Iraq. She didn't call for prosecution of the people who ordered war crimes to cover up that war. She didn't call for that. She was a Secretary of State. She was a senator from New York. She already bombed the crap out of them. She was the instrumental in Libya happening. Also, she wanted a more muscular response to Syria than Barack Obama. So she always wants more. So the point of this is she likes military. She's not afraid of it. And it was enough for the International Business Times to point it out. I would use a military response to fight cyber attacks from Russia and China.
But you're making it sound like Trump wouldn't. Trump would do it
No,
first.
Trump would too.
Do it first. No, he wouldn't just do it also. He would do it first.
Well, let me ask
we
something
don't
to
know
the gentleman
really.
here in the room. My little recollection of how when we attack another country, aren't we supposed to? Isn't there a certain process to this that includes Congress?
Not anymore.
Not necessarily.
Not anymore. Right. Right now, the Congress has usurped their power. They're supposed to only be the ones to declare war, but they passed this resolution for George Bush to go into Afghanistan, and we're still using that. They're still using that. Correct, Robert? Am I wrong about that?
But it's also a declaration of war, which is what you're talking about, which is the constitutional issue. Got circumvented basically in the Korean War, where the executive branch can go around it and say, well, this is a police action or it's part of a long-standing treaty we have. Like, there are any number of ways that a president can go around asking Congress for declaration of war or for authorization of war.
They can also just straight out lie at the UN to get support for it.
Well, yes. But the issue, one of the reasons why I think Hillary Clinton, and I don't agree with this, but one of the reasons why Hillary Clinton gets a little bit of slack on Iraq is because the implication was that if Bush wanted to go to war with Iraq, he could have just done it. He didn't need to go to Congress. The reason why he went to Congress, it seemed at the time, was to create a threat. To basically say, I have authorization for war if you don't step up, if you don't do what I want you to do. And so he seemed like he was creating a threat he could use in negotiations with Iraq. What he actually, in point of fact, was doing was saying, I'm going to go to war with these fucking people, and I just want a blank check for it. But a lot of people in Congress didn't know that that's what he was doing. They thought it was a negotiating tactic to basically put the military clearly on the line.
Hillary Clinton says she will use military response to fight cyber attacks. So if you think you're getting less of a war hawk with her than Donald Trump, you're mistaken. She is a legitimate war hawk. She brags about getting endorsed by John Negroponte. She talks about being buddies with Kissinger. So that's, I think, just as bad as saying you're friends with David Duke. When you say you're friend, David Duke, far as I know, not a war criminal.
Yeah,
What's worse, a guy who's a racist with no power to do anything, or a guy who has power and kills millions of people?
Pretty sure David Duke never disappeared anybody in Chile.
Pretty sure. Here's what she said about Iran. Now, this, they asked her, she's not, my point is she's not afraid to also speak toughly. Here they ask her about
10 years during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel.
Hey, ready? So she's talking about what they would do with Iran if Iran launched an attack on Israel. You know, if they had this is what she says.
In the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them.
Okay, so that's some pretty tough to obliterate. She didn't say we would defend Israel, we would use military to defend against a military attack. She said we would obliterate them. That sounds very much like Ted Cruz when he says, let's turn it into a sandbox, or turn that into sandbox into glass. Remember, he says that kind of rhetoric?
I don't pay attention to what
Yeah,
Ted
I know,
Cruz
but
says.
that's what this sounds like to me, right? So I'm saying, what do you think?
I mean, she's doing is reiterating what's been policy forever, which is
Obliterate.
mutually assured destruction. She's basically saying Iran has nukes. If they launch a nuke at Israel, they will be melted. And that's been standing policy pretty much since nuclear war has existed. So I don't see like what she's saying. I don't particularly like what she's saying, but I don't see that she's saying anything that every administration since Truman has said
Right.
about the use of nuclear force.
Well, there's nothing really that Trump has said that we haven't already done. When he says we're going to kill the families of terrorists, we already do that. We already kill the families of terrorists. But not only we torture them, we kill them. It's called drone bombing, and anybody who happens to be standing around the guy we're trying to kill gets killed too.
It's not a matter of policy.
So Chomsky has referred to our drone program as the biggest terrorist program in the world. So I'm just saying, all this stuff about everybody's Trump is worse than everybody else. What I'm trying to point out is he's not. He just puts an asshole face on the stuff that we're already doing and stuff that people are already saying. I have other video clips and other videos that show her, I voted for a wall. I voted for a barrier between Mexico. So she called black kids super predators. She's for private. So any.
By the way, every single person in the Senate and the Congress who voted for the last immigration bill voted for a wall. That's the reality
Yes.
of things. That bill that was, everybody touted as every Republican touted as this horrible, path to citizenship was anything but. And it had every feature of a wall you could possibly want, including a wall.
Including a wall. So my point is that Trump is just kind of he's pulling the scab off, and we get to see America. We get to see how people are afraid of. He might be a loose cannon. What the hell is she? Her track record proves she's nothing but a warmongering loose cannon who brags about hanging out with war criminals, has said we would obliterate Iran and use military to fight cyber attacks. I'm just saying, and she brags about hanging out with John Negroponte and Henry Kissinger. So he might brag about hanging out with David Duke. She brags about hanging out with John Negroponte and Kissinger. So my point is, you don't hear this point of view, mine, anywhere else. You won't hear anyone else saying this anywhere else about that. Donald Trump is just revealing how ugly our culture has become, because he is revealing it, and it's not just him. Because I can point to exactly what you just said. Everybody voted for a wall. Is it bad because Trump says it out loud? When he says that a certain group are all criminals, she called them super predators. She gutted welfare. I'm just saying that this is so. This is why we need a revolution, because the things that disgust us are very similar to the things we're going to vote for.